Alrighty. Sorry to disappoint you, but y'all thought you were getting Miss Hope, but instead you got me. We're swapping out today. I am in town, physically, maybe not mentally, but I am here, and Hope has a cold and feels pretty rough, so maybe more than a cold, who knows. But I do have I don't know how much she's explained because I've been kind of out of the pocket. This is some seasonal work I picked up, and it should last probably about 6 months, so maybe till the end of March. And so we are in the beginning parts of it, and it may get more intense like after the first of the year. And so we may have to make some adjustments into what I can do and what I can't do. It's already kind of been scheduled where I couldn't be here, and I really don't know the schedule. Sometimes I get a call and it's I got to go, and sometimes it's I get a couple days notice. So I made 2 trips this week, and I've got another one Friday night into Saturday morning. So all my trips start off in the evening and end up at a location in another state early in the morning, so that when people get there, they can unload real quick, and then I'm back on the road. And usually, it depends, but on average, I'd be back in town around noonish, back at the shop, and then get everything situated, and then I'm back home by 1ish. And so it just depends. But, I really hadn't planned on doing seasonal work, but to be honest, and this is where, for people who are trying this out, you need to know the honest part of it is that eBay has not been doing well over the last month or two, and I expected by now that it would pick back up, and it's really not great. It's not terrible. We are having some sales. We did have a goose egg one day, and we don't normally have one. But we are having some sales, but we're not having anywhere near the number of sales that we had this time last year. So not really sure what the deal is with all that, and we are just experimenting and trying to make some adjustments to bring that back. But it's one of those deals where you just can't necessarily rely on a certain amount of money when you do this, and you should know that because I think for some people you just might watch a video and it says, hey, if you do XYZ, then you're going to make XYZ, and that's not necessarily the case. We've been hard at it for about a year and a half, and if what the guru said was true, then we would be really rocking and rolling right now, and we're not. So anyway, I do have a return story, so I'm sure Miss Hope left out any kind of return stories. I don't think we really had much drama until this last one that we had, and just out of the blue, had a guy blow me up and said, you sent the wrong set of pants. I double checked to make sure they were dress pants, and then you send me some junk. You shouldn't advertise something that you don't have. And just so you know, I'm going to give you a negative review. And so it just really caught me off guard. And he attached 2 pictures. And the 2 pictures were of the dress pants that he was buying. So I was confused. Why are you sending me pictures of the dress pants and saying you didn't get what you actually ordered? So I used caution because I kind of started to reply real quickly, and then I was like, you know what? I need to make sure that I temper this and that I say this well. And so I took what I wanted to say, and I threw it into chat and said, help me to sound more gracious and better understanding, and not to be ugly about it, and to express my desire to make this right and everything. So if you ever, maybe you don't care, but if you do care, because I think you might get in a situation like we did where you want eBay to read what you wrote, And so I threw it in there, and Chad did say it a whole lot nicer than I had planned on saying it, and I tweaked it a little bit, but that's what I sent back. But I did say, because I was confused, because you sent me pictures of the pants that you ordered, I think I'm misunderstanding something. Could you send me pictures of the pants that you received? Because I was just assuming that that's what had happened. So you would think that I had showed up at his doorstep with a shotgun, because his response was pretty rough. And basically he told me I threw them in the dumpster. I threw all the packaging and everything in the dumpster, and I just said I was just going to chalk this up to experience. I'm like, why in the world would you throw a perfectly good pair of pants in a dumpster? And he claimed that he shouldn't have to go to all the trouble of putting them back in the package and going to the mailbox and mailing them back to me. Even though, my 30-day warranty means that, we pay. If we did something wrong, we're going to pay for the return shipping. It's not going to cost him anything. But he just was adamant that, he was not going to do that. And, once again, the whole negative, the way he worded the fact that he was giving me a negative feedback started to sound like feedback extortion. So if you're not super aware of that, there are people that will, play the game of, I'm going to give you negative feedback unless you do X, Y, Z. If you do X, Y, Z, then I will give you positive feedback. Well, they're not, according to eBay rules, they're not allowed to do that, according to the rules. So we have, not all the time, but occasionally we have gone to eBay and said, look, this is wrong. Why in the world does this person get a full refund, or why is this person allowed to say what they said on the feedback? We have lost every single time. The only ones we've ever won is where somebody started a return and then just never put it in never mailed it to us for whatever reason. And so after a period of time, eBay said, time's up, so you win this one. And that's only happened a couple times. All the rest of them, I don't care how good of a case we thought we had. We never, ever, ever. It always errs on the side of the buyer, and we always eat it. And I've had more than one rep just tell me, in their opinion, if the buyer gets their money back and we get our product back, everybody's made whole, even though that's not really true. So anyway, in this case, I, said this is starting to sound like feedback extortion, and I'm not going to have any choice but to report you to eBay. And we were just trying to be proactive. I called eBay and said, look, here's how things are going. The lady was super nice when we talked on the phone. She said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make a note that if for whatever reason this guy gives you negative feedback, we'll remove it. I said, okay, so you're telling me that y'all going to remove the negative feedback? Yes. And then she asked me, have you blocked him? And I said, no, I haven't. But I can do that as soon as we get off the phone. And so I did. Now remember, the conversation that went back and forth with this gentleman meant that, he had thrown everything in the dumpster. He was not going to do anything else except for give me bad feedback. Well, when you block them, guess what? You blocked them. And so there was no more correspondence between the two of us at that point. And I was thinking, well, I don't know what he's going to do, but, I was waiting more for the negative feedback and not necessarily for him to start a return, because how would he start a return without the product that he supposedly threw in the dumpster? And it wasn't maybe an hour or two later that he started a return. Like, what in the world? And so in the notes of the return, lo and behold, he included some pictures, which guess what? It was the wrong pair of pants. But I didn't know that until he started a return. And he claimed that he went to all the trouble of, diving in the dumpster and digging them out. So he was telling me twice now. He said it in messages, and he also said it in return that he threw my stuff in the dumpster. So I'm like, okay, well, this might be one of those times when I get a return back that I do a deduction for damage or whatever else. And the pair of pants he was sending back, I wanted them back because it was a super nice, rare pair of pants. So, hey, if he'd have been nice and communicated, I probably would have told him, look, man, just keep that pair of pants and I'll send you the ones that you ordered, and then you'll have two pairs, because it actually was his size and everything else. Long story short, he claimed that they were the wrong size, which they were not. Same size as the other pair of pants, same color, which might have been the part where we aired on our end. But so we got the big negative feedback. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm not worried about it because, eBay told me they're going to remove it. So, I'm just going to wait until the package arrives, and then I will do the return, and we'll just see if there's any damage to it. And by the way, if you don't do this, I would highly suggest it. We don't open the package until we've got a camera rolling and we video the opening. You just don't ever know, You want to be able to prove to eBay or anybody else, when I opened this, there was a brick in there instead of whatever I sent them, or a rock, or, dirty underwear, whatever the case may be. You want to be able to prove what it is and then the condition of it. So we video every single one. They make a difference. So in opening it, surprisingly, I didn't see any like dirt marks or anything else. I'm thinking, I don't think you really threw these things in the dumpster. You might have said that, but you might have been trying to get me to give you a refund, and you were going to keep the so-called pants that you threw in the dumpster. I don't know. Doesn't matter at this point. But I said, you know what? I can't really see anything that warrants a deduction, and Hope was like, just full refund him and let's move on. Which is what we did. But I did contact eBay. I was like, okay, remember that conversation we had about this guy and this pair of pants? Well, we got the negative feedback, so ready for y'all to remove that. I would highly recommend that when you get on the phone call with eBay about anything, that you get their reference number. I didn't have it. So the second person was willing to go and kind of dig and find the original of the previous phone call, and saw where that note was made in there, but then stated, I can't do anything about it. So here are the steps that you need to go through in order to request this be removed. I'm like, okay, well, I'm on the phone with you. I don't know why I have to go through all these steps, but if that's what we need to do, that's what we'll do. Now, I do want to say that this person was really hard to understand. So I just really wanted to get on and do what I needed to do. And she claimed it's probably going to take 2 or 3 days before you get an answer back. So I was like, okay. And I went through all the steps. I typed out all the details, gave them all the information, even got the lady to give me at least the reference number for our phone call. And, all that stuff to be recorded. Filled everything out, sent it in, thinking I won't hear anything for a couple of days. I think it was like an hour or two later, I got the declined. And I was like, how? Not one time have we won when it comes to returns. Not once, except for those ones where people forget to actually ever mail it to us. Other than that, not once. How is this possible? So, just so you know, don't get your hopes up. I don't know that it's wise not to at least try, but I just don't know that we're ever going to actually win one ever. And I think probably the ones that I would think we would never win, we might win, just because it just doesn't make no sense to me. But anyway, we ended up full refunding the guy, negative review, and nothing we can do about it, and moving on. So that's just part of it. You do get the little note at the bottom that says this is not going to affect your seller rating. Well, maybe this one won't, but if you have several, and the bad thing is, ours had just like the day before bumped up because of the ratio now with all these automatic feedbacks. We had bumped up again, so I was like, great, and then we went back down. So anyway, it is what it is. So that's the big want on the return, and hopefully that'll be the last one for a while. But I'd rather have a bunch of sales than slow sales and no returns. So speaking of slow sales, things are just not getting any better, and so I've reversed a lot of things. I tried a few little experiments to see if that would make us more profitable, and I'm back at pretty much all of our stuff is promoted. It's not offsite promoted, so if you don't know the difference, and I don't know, I think that offsite promotion might be good for people in different categories. We sell pre-owned men's clothing, and so for us, I spent as much money on off-site promotion as I made, and so I would have been better off just setting those items on fire than going through all that trouble. So we don't do off-site, but we do promoted, and I go ahead and just do dynamic. I've tried to do it at a lower rate, and that just didn't seem to push the needle at all. And so we definitely went back to the original, which is dynamic. Because of it being used men's clothes, there's so much competition out there that I don't think we really have a choice. I think on some of our other items, other unique items, but then, we've had some stuff that I thought, I don't know why we even listed this, and it's probably never going to sell, and it's sold pretty quickly. So, it's all how you want to view this. Right now, what we want is sales. So if you make $10, per sale versus no sales, that's something. So we're not into the storage business, and we're sure looking like it down in the basement. But along those notes, I don't know that you really have a choice anymore. When you're thinking about the new rules with promoted listings, it looks like I think it was the beginning of January somewhere, and you can see a lot of people have done videos and gone into great detail about this. But you're going to get burned for, even if you don't have it promoted, if somebody else has an item promoted and then they buy yours instead of theirs, eBay's going to count it, so you might as well go ahead and promote yours, since you're going to get burned by it anyway, and that way maybe yours gets sold faster and gets shown before somebody else's. So it's a new day, and once again we are playing in eBay sandbox, so we don't have really a choice but to follow the rules. Now, I do believe that there will be a lot of people, once they start getting hit with promoted listings that they never promoted, that they're going to get a little ticked off, and they're going to get out, and maybe enough people getting out might reverse the course. I don't know, but you shouldn't plan on it. I don't know that many of the rules get reversed. I know that I've heard some other platforms try something for a week or two and then back out. But there's been plenty of outrage about this new rule, and I don't think I've heard, any signs of they're changing their mind. So just keep that in mind. There's plenty of good videos out there that people have written about this new change, and it is what it is. So anyway, I did want to update everybody a little bit on the community that I have taken forever to get going. I have another trip tomorrow night, and then I have done some stuff, and I need to finish up some stuff this weekend related to that. But I think, the delay has really made me pause and really think about the direction to go with the community. I obviously, here we talk primarily about eBay, but that's, eBay is not all my life. That might be the case for someone else on YouTube talking about eBay, but it's just one part of, what we do. We are, rookie homesteaders, and we are, I do deliveries in the middle of the night, and we do YouTube, which doesn't make any money, but we also we're selling on eBay, and we're grandparents, and there's a whole lot of other stuff, and then we're also believers, and so that's a major part of our life. And I also have an interest in, even though, I mean, you've seen several of my videos talking about eBay versus something else. So I have interest in, I just have an entrepreneurial mind, and I'm always thinking about something. Doesn't mean I'm going to do all of them, because obviously I've reached a point in my journey where I can't do certain things anymore physically. Which, by the way, is a praise in the fact that I can do these trips physically. I mean, it doesn't sound like I shouldn't be able to, but guess what? I'm the youngest guy. Can you believe that? Of all the stuff that I've told you before about, people won't hire me because I'm, pushing 60 years old. I'm the youngest of the owner and the other drivers. And so it's kind of funny. I'm the young guy. But the part of what I would like to talk about is for other people just to just think outside the box, because, the guy that I work for, I mean, what he's doing is very unique. Who would have thought? And I really don't have permission to share, his business or anything, so I won't. But who would have thought that you could make a living doing what he's doing? And he's doing quite well. So, I like thinking about all these crazy things. And one of the guys that I work with, he is 73, and he did construction for 25 years. And then he was an ambulance driver for 25 years, and he talked about, you remember how hard it is. You work, you got wide open, you got this short schedule to get a lot of work done. He did commercial, and he said, then I went from that to being an ambulance driver, where I would sit in a recliner and wait for the alarm to go off. And I thought, I need to be doing something. What am I supposed to be doing? He's like, it took me years to realize I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm sitting here waiting on a call. So who knew that there was a whole world outside of working really hard in the sun and the cold and the rain and getting yelled at and tearing up your hands and your feet and your neck and your back and breaking bones and everything else, that there was a different way. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like I did construction for 40 something years because that's what I was supposed to be doing. But now I just am a lot more open to all the different ways, and I'm grateful that I don't have to, stand on a mat somewhere and greet people when they come in the door. So I'd much rather do this. One of the guys is 75, I think, and he's been doing this, I think, 13 years. So I don't know. He was a little. I rode with him a couple times. I'm thinking maybe it might be time, dude. Might be time. But anyway. So I don't want to go into, I should, but I don't want to go into super great detail about the community, because I really would like to flesh some things out and get that squared away before I go into great detail. But my plan is I've got to fix some stuff today and tomorrow. Then I got to make that trip, and then I can spend some time this weekend and get this squared away, and then I'll put the link down below. And speaking of link down below, I wanted to give you a little update on Better Lister, which is now known as Spadeberry. So you can read their little article if you're interested in why in the world they changed the name from Better Lister to Spadeberry. But I think they have kind of followed suit with several different things that we're familiar with lately, and they're coming up with different packages. And so instead of just the one level, which when I started they only had one. When I started, there was no free trial. There was no gift of anything. You paid up front. It was a set. This is what you do, and it worked for me. So we've been happy, and we still use it, and plan on keeping on using it. To be honest, I don't know that I would have the time and energy to do the seasonal work if I wasn't using it. So what it did allow me to do is have another source of income, and that is well worth the $50 that I spend a month. But there is different packages now, so I need that amount, but someone else may just want to get what they call starter, and I think starter is just a $9.99 a month deal, but that's only going to really get you 20 listings a month. And I don't know that, maybe some people that's all they're doing is one or two a day. And that might work for you. Well, that would only be one a day. But at least it's a pretty low barrier for you to get in. So I have had two people, and it doesn't really tell me their names or anything. So I just saw some email addresses. But I had two people that have taken me up on the referral that I sent them, and I'm grateful for that. So whoever you are, thanks. I do, like I said, I get a little of my credits because I have to buy extra. I spend more credits than the 50 gives me. So that helps me and keeps me from having to pay an additional amount. It works out to basically 50 cents a listing. So, if your stuff is worth your time to get that done. Now, let me clarify this because I don't know how many times I've said this, but there's a separate feature which is removing the background. You pay 3 cents per photo, so I only added the first photo of every listing, so it's only costing me another 3 cents. So we're at 53 cents. But their background removal tool is so much better than anything else I've ever used. So I'm not going to change that. I'm always going to use that. And plus, it's so much simpler to use. But whichever package you do, it pretty much costs you 50 cents or 53 if you're going to use that feature. And in the link that I have under my videos, what you'll get is a 14-day free trial. I didn't get that, but you'll get a 14-day free trial, but you also get 20 tokens that comes with that. So that's enough for you to get started. If I were to do it over again, probably what I would do is I would test it one a day or two, just so that you can compare it to how you would have done it. And they made so many changes based on people's feedback. There's even a Facebook group that you'll get part of, and so you can have discussions in there, and they're great at answering support emails and everything. So because of the different categories, I'm only experienced in men's clothing aspect of it. We're about to try some other items that I have down in the basement and see how that works. But I know that over these several months that I've used it, they have really improved in all categories. So I would, use that opportunity, try 2 listings the way you would normally do it, run 2 listings through. I keep wanting to call it Better Lister, but Spadeberry is a new name. And just compare the two. I would never recommend that you go run it through Spadeberry and go straight live. I've done it a couple times, and I have regretted a couple of those times. Not all the time. There's just some minor details that you should look over and adjust prior to making it live. So what I would do is I would use Spadeberry, and I would have it, instead of going live, there's the option to schedule it. And I would schedule it for, maybe later that evening or tomorrow, just so that it will go into your scheduled tabs. And then you can just jump into eBay on the scheduled thing and check the listing and see what it looks like. If you tweak the title, and I don't know, I just recently found this out. Even if you don't tweak the title, you might want to put your little cursor thing up there in the title and hit enter. And that just kind of like now you're on eBay. eBay's looked at the title, it's looked at everything, and it said, hey, maybe you want to fill in these blanks, answer these questions. It gives you some suggestions to do. But if you're like me and you maybe tweak the title a little bit, then that changes some things, and so you can test your listing. I have a tendency to fill in the blanks to all the description, and Better Lister has a tendency to fill in the blanks to a lot of what they feel like is the key stuff. And then down in the description, I mean, it's pretty elaborate, the information that they put down there. And I don't know, I don't know if I'm wasting my time filling in the blanks or not, or if I should just review what's there and just adjust what's there. But I do know that when you're looking at it, when most people are looking at it, say on their phone or whatever, the part that they really see is the part that Spadeberry focuses on. And they probably don't very often look at the stuff that I fill in. So who knows? But right now I need sales, so I'm going to go do whatever I got to do to try to make that better. But so if you want to try it out, like I said, we get a few extra credits from it doing it. It's not like I'll still have to pay for my subscription. So it's not like that ever gets comped or anything, but it just helps for the extra listings that I need. And you'll get 14 days free trial, you get 20 tokens to play with. That does not include any of the background removal, but you can just get a few of those if you want to buy a few of those. And then what will happen is after your 14-day free trial, you'll have now, didn't have this before, but now you have 4 options to choose from which tier you want. And so if you choose the starter tier, that's the one that's $9.99 a month, and you'll get an extra 20 tokens just for signing up for that, on top of what you're supposed to get, which with that is 20 tokens. So basically it's going to double your tokens for the first time when you set up. Basic is what I'm on, so when you set up that, you'll get not only the 100 tokens that you paid for, but also a bonus one time, 100 tokens on that. But they also have Pro and Enterprise. So I'm not sure if anybody who's watching this is at that level, but those are pretty up there. And so now they have 4 tiers for you to choose from. So I just want to update everybody to let you know that there's options that weren't there the last time I looked. So I'm not really sure if this went live this week or not, because I've been kind of out of pocket with multiple trips. But anyway, I do want to ask this question because of the stuff that's actually probably going to get, our time schedule is going to get tighter and tighter as the weeks go by. If us going live is of any benefit to anybody, or are you just waiting and watching this as we transition it from a live to just a regular recording, regular video? If so, what that does is that really frees, both of us up to do this at a time when, we're both awake and we are in the same location and we're both feeling good. So, if that would have been the case, we would have not done it today. We would have done it. We would have done recording on the day that Hope was feeling better and that I had some sleep. Because as of right now, the way my schedule works, I am about an hour for going to bed, which is really weird because it's super bright and sunny outside right now. But that is the life I live now. And so I get up, depends on the trip. I did a trip that was 17 hours. So there and back was a total of 17 hours. And those I have to leave early and I get back late. But sometimes I'm not leaving till about 10 p.m. And so still that doesn't give me a lot of time, a lot of daytime hours. And so we would be able to record this, like on the weekend or whatever, because we don't have to do anything on, definitely not on Sundays, but usually by Saturday noon we're done. And so Monday morning I could have done one during the day. But anyway, or whatever day I don't have a trip, I could have done it. So just let me know what y'all, if that's really a big deal, because we might just stop the lives and just do a recording. If Hope was here, she would probably say it'd just be easier on her. I'm not really sure. She does a lot of the stuff that makes this work. But, and I had a few other topics that I wanted to talk about. But to be honest, my carriage is turning into a pumpkin. And so it kind of, I'm surprised that I'm doing as well as I can, because the things that I never wanted to do was, well, I didn't want to drive anymore because I used to have to drive a ton for my job. I definitely didn't want to drive at night, which is what I'm doing. And so I was surprised I did 2 trips back to back, which only let me sleep about 6 hours between trips, and did pretty good. So I am, was hurting a little bit today, but surprised at how active I have been able to be. So anyway, it's time for me to get some sleep, which sounds weird to say. In fact, we just messaged my daughter and I said I'm requesting that we do Thanksgiving at midnight, because that would be technically lunch for me, which I don't even know what to call meals anymore right now. But I kind of got vetoed on that, so I don't think that's going to be happening, because for whatever reason the grandchild is more important. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Maybe you're not even seeing this until it's actually is a shifted over to a just a regular video. But I will post some more about the community and some stuff that was on my list to do, and then probably next week. So anyway, y'all have a blessed day, and we'll catch you on the next one.